I'm a little bit late to the party with this one, but the prices for the Bose 700 noise cancelling headphones keep dropping. So, are they worth it? And how do they compare against the competition? Hello and welcome back to Marco's Reviews, and thank you for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't subscribed, the button is just down there. So I finally bought the Bose 700 noise cancelling headphones a couple of weeks ago, and thanks to my podcast co-host Rob, I got them for just £170 on Amazon. These normally retail at about £350, $350, so that was an absolute bargain. Today, I've decided to pitch them against the Sony XM4s, which are my favourite ever headphones, the AirPods Max, and Bose's own QC45s. Right, if we look at the specs and features for these Bose 700s to begin with, they have adjustable noise cancelling with situational awareness. They also have a conversation mode, which is basically transparency mode that you get on AirPods Max. They also have high fidelity audio, whatever that means, unrivaled voice pickup, whatever that means, a streamlined lightweight design, voice control with Alexa, 20 hours of total battery time with a 15-minute charge delivering 2 hours of playback, capacitive touch controls, and Bose actually calls these their most advanced headphones ever. So let's get into the specifics. Starting with sound, as always with headphones, I don't do anything with the EQ. I listen to them straight out of the box as the manufacturer intended. And I do that because, one, I can't really be bothered to work out what the best EQ profile for these is, and two, I don't think I should have to. I want to hear what the manufacturer wanted these to sound like. And straight away, the Bose 700s sound really, really good. If they're characterised with any kind of sound, it's that there's quite a lot of presence, so quite a lot of mid-range stuff going on. It's possibly a little bit too much for me. I'm one of those people who likes a bit of a dipped mid-range, but it's not wearing, it's not too much. And both the highs and lows are catered for really well as well. So overall, they're a very nicely balanced sounding pair of headphones. There's lots of detail, and it's overall a brighter sound as opposed to giving you loads and loads of bass. So sound-wise, overall, very, very impressive. The noise cancelling is just epic. It's so good. Bose, I think, are still regarded as one of the best in terms of noise cancelling. It's a very close fought thing between these and the Sonys, which I'll get onto later. But if you A/B test the noise cancelling for these and a random other pair of noise cancelling headphones, these will win. Now there are 3 settings for noise cancelling, which is quite rare actually. Normally noise cancelling is just turned on or turned off for most headphones. But for these, you get 3 different modes. One of them is number 10 noise cancelling, which is as much as it can deliver. Then below that, you've got 5, which is just a little bit less. It lets a bit more of the outside world in. And then 0 is, well, 0's off in fairness. So I guess there's only 2 settings really. But it does feel a bit pointless. I've never been in a position or a situation with these headphones where I've thought, ooh, I need a 5 rather than a 10 here. They do have what Bose calls their conversation mode, where you can filter in the outside world. That works pretty well. It's not on a par with certain other headphones, which again I'll get onto later. But overall, in terms of noise cancelling, you're not going to get much better than the Bose 700s. They are just stunning. The design is relatively muted. It's not particularly garish. They only come in black or silver. You can't get any fancier colours than that. But they do look relatively unique. You've probably seen these out in the wild, and you can recognise them immediately because of these stems, which kind of unusually go over the back of the ear cup. With most headphones, it goes into the top of the ear cup and you kind of extend it from there. But with these, you extend it by basically moving that stem across the back of the ear cup, and it works really well. It feels pretty solid. Feels like it could take quite a bit of abuse as well, but they're not much to write home about when it comes to looks. They just look and feel a bit more modern than some of the other Bose QC series. In terms of comfort, they are super comfortable headphones. And immediately as well. You don't have to kind of wear them for long periods of time to get used to them. They just feel very comfy straight away. I think that's down to a couple of things. One of them is the amount of cushioning in the headband. There's more cushioning there than I've experienced in other over-the-ear headphones. And the ear pads are very nice and soft as well, nice material. And there isn't really too much driver protrusion, as I call it, to worry about inside the cup, where sometimes part of the plastic can dig into your ear. That doesn't happen with these. I've worn these for long periods of time and they haven't bothered me, haven't got too hot. They're just very comfy headphones. Only one gripe really with the design is the placement of the buttons, which sit on the back of the ear cups here on the edge. In terms of using them, that's no problem at all, but I'm always accidentally pressing certain buttons when taking them off my head or folding them to put them into their case. I don't seem to have this with other headphones. They seem to place them where you don't accidentally keep pressing them. Whereas with the Bose 700s, I'm always pressing the power button or the noise cancelling button. It's just a bit irritating. Now, if you know me, you'll know that headphone cases are very important. And the good news is that the Bose 700s have an awesome case. It's pretty solid. There's a bit of flex there, but not too much. It will still take quite a bit of beating. Nice zip. But the best part about it, if I open it up, is this little hidden compartment. It's not really hidden, but there's a magnetized flap here that you pull down. And obviously in there you can put your cables and stuff like that. But it's got this very satisfactory thing. It's, I could do that for far too long. But yeah, a lovely case, nice and hard wearing, I think. And the way the headphones go in is very straightforward. In fact, it's better than a lot of headphones. Most over-the-ear noise-cancelling headphones have to be folded in a bit of a strange way to get them into the case. And to the point where the manufacturer has to give you a little diagram to remind you how to do it, and I still get confused by that occasionally. Whereas with these, you literally put the stems in, fold them like that, put them in the case, close the case, zip it up, done. This is really good stuff, Bose. Some other points of note with the design and living with these things, they are USB-C, as you would expect. Great standby time, I've had no problem with that whatsoever. Also, when you put the headphones on, they will tell you how many hours are left with the battery. Rather than saying you've got 70% battery left, it will say you have 15 hours of battery left. I've actually really warmed to that. At first I thought that's a bit, do I need that? Actually, it's far easier to relate to that. They also have touch sensitive controls, but to be honest, if you don't use them, you won't notice they're there. They're for playing, pausing, you know, putting the volume up and down. I hate touch sensitive controls. I think they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist personally, but they don't get in the way with these. And crucially, I never find myself accidentally invoking them. The only slight downer on these headphones is that they don't have an auto off feature when you take them off your head. So some headphones, when they notice that they've been taken away from your ears, will pause the music momentarily, and when you put them back on your ears, they automatically start playing again. I've got very used to that with certain headphones, and it annoys me a bit when they don't do that, so it's not the end of the world, but it's just a bit of a shame. When it comes to call quality, I've mentioned this several times in the past that I don't use over-the-ear headphones for calling, so I'm not the best person to give you advice on that. However, I've done some research and apparently the Bose 700s are among the best. The general consensus is that they are very good for calls. I think that's probably because they have 6 microphones to pick up your voice. So if call quality is a key consideration for you while choosing your noise-cancelling headphones, then these are very good. So time for my verdict on the Bose 700s. I'm sorry it's been so long coming, but they are very, very good headphones. Really well balanced sound, fantastic noise cancelling, nice design. They're very, very comfortable. The battery's great, the case is superb. And even better, if you're quick enough and lucky enough to find the deals when they drop on things like Amazon, you'll get them for less than £200, less than $200. But what you want to know is how do they compare against other headphones? One of the most obvious comparisons for the Bose 700s are these, the Bose QC45s. Now, I did a full review of these, which I'll link to above, but they are the update to the very popular Bose QC35s. In terms of sound, the Bose QC45s are quite a bit brighter than the Bose 700s, but they lack that presence, that mid-range that the Bose 700s have. And as a result, they don't sound quite as grown up as these. But there's not much in it really, and it's just that kind of toss-up between the brighter sound of the QC45s and that more kind of presence-y, that's not a word, but that more kind of grown-up, balanced sound that you get from the 700s. Noise cancelling very quickly, it's pretty much identical on both of them. The 700s possibly have a bit better noise cancelling, but it's absolutely minute, not enough to worry about. In terms of design, they look very different, these headphones, there's no doubting that, and definitely the Bose 700s are more comfortable than the QC45s. Don't get me wrong, these are a very comfortable pair of headphones, but there's just something about the cushioning, the extra cushioning that you get on the headband on these, and the pads are a bit better as well, I think. They just feel a bit better wearing for long periods of time. And build quality, these do feel like a better built pair of headphones than the QC45s. They both use plastic, which is about par for the course with these types of headphones, but the plastic on the QC45s just feels a little bit less premium. In terms of cases, they're about the same really. In terms of the material, they've both got the same amount of flex. The only thing that the QC45s don't have is that little magical compartment in there. They have a little kind of pocket that you can put stuff in, which is fine. But yeah, that loses marks simply because I love the little magic pocket, which I'm going to do again. I can't help it, that kind of flappy kind of thing. In terms of call quality, the Bose 700s. Price-wise, again, the 700s you can get, if you're very lucky, you can get them for £170-ish. You'll probably pay as much as £250 at the moment, £280 maximum for these currently. Whereas with the QC45s, you're going to pay about £300, $300. And yes, these are a newer pair of headphones on the market, but as you're about to find out, in fact, I'll tell you straight away, the overall winner between these two is these Bose 700s because they're sound-wise, for me, they're better. Comfort-wise, they're definitely better. They've got a better case. They look better, I think, look more modern, and they're actually more affordable. Next up, we have the Sony XM4s, which are still my favorite headphones of all time. And I've gushed about these a lot. I will leave a link above to one of my reviews of these. But comparing these with the Bose 700s is quite interesting, particularly when it comes to the sound. I'd forgotten how bass heavy these are. When you A/B test the XM4s versus the Bose 700s, these sound absolutely huge. And that won't be to everyone's taste. It kind of almost harks back to the Beats headphones of old. It's not as bad as that, I promise you. It's a much better sound than that. It's like a grown-up Beats sound, but there's a lot more bass going on in these than there is in these. And for me, these have that kind of dipped mid-range, which these don't really have. Again, I can't tell you what you're going to prefer in terms of the sound profile, but if you like a lot of bass and you like a big kind of bombastic sound, then the Sony XM4s are probably the ones to go for. Noise cancelling, they really are on a par with each other. The Sony XM4s and the Sony XM3s before them are superb and very well regarded headphones when it comes to noise cancelling. Very difficult to pick between the two with that. One of the things the Sony XM4s have over the Bose 700s is that auto pause feature that I mentioned earlier. So when you take these off your head, they will pause the music, and when you put them back on your head, it resumes. It's really useful. In terms of design, the XM4s aren't particularly exciting looking. They're a bit utilitarian. They're probably not to everyone's taste, although they're still fairly inconspicuous, really. The Bose 700s do look far more modern, I think, and that's partly because of this kind of unusual stem design. Comfort-wise, these are very comfortable and these are very comfortable. The only slight difference is clamping force. So these do clamp against your head a little bit more than these. These are a bit more comfortable for longer periods of time, particularly if you're a glasses wearer. In terms of the materials used, again, a lot of plastic on the XM4s, but it does feel of a higher quality than what's on the Bose 700s. Case-wise, the Sony XM4 case is the king of headphone cases, no question. So I'm afraid the Bose 700s do lose out to it on that front. When it comes to call quality, unfortunately, there's no comparison here because the Sony XM4s are pretty well known for having dreadful performance on calls. Price-wise, the Bose 700s, as I mentioned before, £170 if you're lucky, probably up to $280-ish. The Sony XM4s, I think at the moment, are about £280, $280. But if you shop around, you can still get the XM3s, the version before this, I think for about £195, £190, which is an absolute bargain because they're not that much different to the XM4s. So in terms of a winner out of these two, you've guessed it. For me personally, it's the Sony XM4s. Next up, we have Apple's AirPods Max. In terms of sound, these are far brighter than the Bose 700s. They also have lots more bass. Those mids are definitely scooped out a little bit as well. I've often said in the past that these sound very expensive. I maintain that. If you don't know a huge amount about sound or you don't care too much, if you put these on your head, you're going to be very impressed. The only thing I would say is that you get slightly more detail on the Bose 700s because there isn't quite as much EQ, tuning and stuff going on as there is on the AirPods Max. But it's not by much because the AirPods Max have superb noise cancelling and actually they win when it comes to the transparency mode. So transparency mode on AirPods Max, when it lets in the outside world, is absolutely unbeatable. So sound-wise, again, it's very much a personal taste. Noise cancelling, they're both on a par with each other. When it comes to design, there's no competition, I'm afraid. In my opinion anyway, the AirPods Max are just stunningly designed. Unlike the Bose 700s, they use lots of aluminium. Their kind of stem things are really satisfying to use. They're just a very, very premium feeling and looking pair of headphones. I think they're more comfortable personally as well. So if you're after premium looks and you don't like plasticky stuff, then AirPods Max, although they cost more, they are far better in that respect than the Bose 700s. When it comes to the case, there is absolutely no comparison. I'll put a link above to my most recent review of these where I talk a bit more about the case for the AirPods Max. It is terrible. The case on the Bose 700s, as you know, is just fantastic. There's just no comparison. Call quality, because of that transparency mode, it's very, very good on the AirPods Max. But because the Bose 700s are so good with calls, it's a very close fought thing. The price is where things completely change between these two. So again, the Bose 700s, if you're lucky, you'll get them for 170, 180 pounds. You'll pay maximum 280-ish. Whereas the AirPods Max, they still officially retail at 550 pounds. The winner for me between these two is the Bose 700s without question. If you want some more advice on buying your first or next pair of over-the-ear noise cancelling headphones, keep watching for a link to my full buying guide. But until next time, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you next time.